Saturday evening, everybody. How is everybody doing? Welcome back to another episode of the LTL podcast. This is episode 31, and I want to welcome everybody back into the live show. The chat is filling up. The chat will grow. We're going to have an amazing Saturday night, and I have a really great program outlined for the show. I think you're all going to enjoy it. I have some secret guests here that will be popping in a couple of minutes, and as the show goes, I'm going to throw the line out to other creators if they want to jump on, and we'll have some fun this evening. Let me just get my mic position here. It was like all up in my face. It was all in my face, and I think I'm a little blurry, so let me readjust my camera here. I think I'm in focus now. Yeah, if you're watching this live, please enjoy the live chat. Always remember the live chat on replay. If you watch it, it will take about 24 hours to post. And then if you're watching this on replay, just make sure to go down there and smash the hashtag. I always say smash, but leave hashtag replay in the comments. I'd love to see that. Also, just another thing too, I always download these episodes and will re-upload them. So if there's something that you missed during the show, you can always catch it on a re-upload. And I think it would be great if you could even hit just hashtag like re-upload or replay. That'd be great. Hashtag replay if you're watching this on a re-upload. So this evening, like I said, I have an action-packed show here. I have my first guest waiting in the back room. Of course, we're going to bring him in. My one and only, the one that has been here from the beginning, the first one that I have ever approved to be on the panel. We're going to bring her in right now. It's Laura. How are you? Happy Saturday.
Good. I'm doing great. Happy Saturday, Bryan.
Thank you so much. Yeah, I was a little bit.
Good Saturday.
It's Saturday. It's Saturday Night Live. We're doing a Kohberger show. We haven't done a Kohberger show on Saturday in a long time, so I assume the chat will grow as we go here, and we'll have. I don't want to say like fun, but we're gonna have an exciting show outlined for the viewers. I want to apologize to everybody. I usually am, at 9 o'clock start. I got out of work late this evening. I was literally running home. I was talking to like Detective John on the phone. I'm messaging with Laura, like everything. I'm like trying to line everything up, but we'll get through it. And like I said, DJ may join us in a little while. If he does, we'll drop the link for him. He can come hang out. But we'll get into this. We'll get into the show here. So I know a couple episodes ago, I did a episode. I gotta stop saying I'm trying to train myself to not say But we did an episode 2 nights ago on Zav Girl. We did an episode on Natasha Cooper. During the Zav Girl stream, someone in the chat said, "Hey, I really would like a creator to kind of put their money out there and help the Stotch family." And I said, you know what? If that's what it takes and I need to show that, then I will put a $500 donation out there. So I did make a donation. I want everybody to know. And I just want to make a couple of things clear in this donation. So you go over to the Help Al Stotch with Costs from Loss of Son page. And if you scroll down here, you can see the LTL podcast. I did my donation this morning. So there was a little bit of confusion about it, and I do want to apologize to the person that I asked to kind of get involved and be a mediator, because she is a great asset and she has reached out to some family members in the past when we have done some shows. She reached out to Gannon's mom, and there was just a little bit of confusion as to far as how to get the money over to Gannon's mom. So I felt, just in my best interest, because reading through this, it seemed like it was completely vetted. I felt comfortable about doing it. And that's why I decided to do the donation here on this page. So I don't want to make that person that reached out to the family feel bad in any way. I think you did a fantastic job. I do apologize if there was a mix-up. There were some mixed messages that were going on. I really wasn't understanding. But the donation is there. So someone will get it. And I will promise this. If the money gets released and they don't reach the $75,000 goal, I will find another way to donate this $500, and I will keep you all updated. But the $500 is there. And I also want to do this as well, too. There were some people in the chat that really care about this situation and really care about this family. And they reached out to me, and they actually gave me some donation as well. So we did a combined donation. I got about $175 from some viewers, and I put in about $325 of my own money. So combined together, we did a $500 donation. I want to thank all of those viewers that did reach out to me and give me money through PayPal. I combined it and basically made up the difference and put the $500 out there to help this family. And I think this is the right thing to do. And I would have thought it would have been a lot better maybe if Zav Girl or Natasha Cooper, if he definitely comes around to do something like this. So I am urging other creators, if you have made content uh, coming out against Zav Girl, coming out against Natasha Cooper, in any type of support of the Stotch family, go over to this GoFundMe. I'm gonna drop the link there, and let's get this family to that $75,000 goal. So I have dropped the link in there. I am calling out other creators. If you're watching the stream and you've done videos on calling out Natasha Cooper or Zav Girl, I think the right thing to do is let's drop some money in the bucket. It doesn't have to be a $500 donation. Even $1 would help this family. So I'm urging creators to do that. And if you all in this chat want to donate as well, by all means. So again, I wanted to start this show this evening with that, because I said, like, I'll put my money where my mouth is. I'll put the $500 out there, and I just wanted to show proof that it actually did happen. So thank you for supporting me on those streams. Thank you for supporting this cause. We need a Gannon's Law. We need to change the law of letting this type of material out to the public. And again, I am all for free speech. I am all for First Amendment rights. I believe in the Constitution. I love my country. I love the justice system. I love law enforcement. I love all of you, but we need to do better. We need to do better in we need to do better in getting this law changed, that this material is never allowed out. This certain material is never let out again through the Freedom of Information Act. And Doodlebug is saying it. Clarification. I'm challenging Zav Girl and Natasha to donate. Yeah, that's the people that I'm challenging in this video. So again, I just wanted to get that out there. I wanted everybody to know that I did put my money where my mouth was. I said I would do it. And this is the way that I wanted to pay respect to that. So thank you. Thank you for encouraging me. Thank you for inspiring me to do this. Thank you for giving me the inspiration to go out and do this. So that felt really good. It felt really good to do that. So Laura, here we are. Let's get into the Idaho show. Here we are. So so I'm just gonna pull up the chat here a little bit, and I don't know, what do we got going on? We have Titanium Built in the house. Thank you so much for hanging out, Tanya. We love you over there. Have you reached 10,000 subscribers yet? What's going on over there, girl? We need to get you over there. We have Summer in the chat as well. AZ is here. Glowbug is here. Doodlebug, again, with the clarification. We have Mary in the house as well. Harlot's here. Great Dane Mom said, I'm loving all this donation talk. Cheers to you, Brian. Absolutely. Thank you so much. Summer's throwing some blue hearts and I think it's a hedgehog. Wow, that's interesting. Truth and Matters in the house. Tracy Dean is here. Stacy's here. Diana HB is here. Stardust is here. Simba, thank you so much for your donation. Simba did send in $100 donation to the family, so we did that combined donation. Ryzen is actually here. She donated some money as well, so I combined all that. Barbara G's here. Alicia, Deborah's here. Crimes and Videotapes is here as well. Sunflower Soul. We have Jessica here. Ellie Ann. What else do we got? I think I pretty much got everybody. I know there's a lot of people. Rising's here as well. Yeah, we're good. I think we're caught up. So let's see, Laura. I wanted to get into this article first from New York Post. I know that everybody had, there was a lot of controversy surrounding the King Road house. About being demolished, and I have to say I was one of them that was a little bit upset that they were attempting to demolish this house before the trial. And I think that it's still very important that the house stand throughout the trial. I know it's a weird sense and a weird way to kind of think about this, is that if we can get maybe any positive out of this, and I don't want anybody to take this the wrong way, but I think that it's absolutely a symbol of what happened in that area at that specific time. There's probably, I don't want to say that. I don't want to misspeak on this. I'm trying to say this in the most respectful way. But if we want to use this as a symbol to stand against about what happened in that home, and I know it's a very tragic place at this point, but if we can use it as a positive in the sense of that we need that house to stand at least until this trial concludes. Now, I know that may not be something that's possible, and I think maybe, Laura, you're understanding what I'm getting.
Yes.
I'm getting at, and I hope the chat understands where I'm getting, is that that's a very extremely powerful symbol. And it also may serve a purpose where the jury may be able to go back. But now what I'm understanding is that because there's so much biohazard in that house and there's so much chemicals, that may be completely impossible to do. But at least if we can use this as a symbol of strength, as a symbol of togetherness. And I know it's really tragic what happened there. I mean, it's unspeakable. And like I said, I hope the chat understands what I'm getting at. How do you feel about that, Laura? Do you think that this should be something that is demoed, or should we at least keep it up for a little while?
I definitely think we need to keep it up for a little while. They went through the house for the O.J. Simpson trial. They used the property, a Moselle property, in the Murdaugh trial. I think it's very crucial to see how sound travels. I know the house is not furnished right now. However, it's not like it's your typical shaped house. So I would definitely, if I was on the jury, want to be able to get in there and see how you move about the house, because moving about the house will help you take you through the timeline. And I mean, could you hear something from Kaylee's room or Maddie's room from downstairs in Bethany's room? What all could you hear from Dylan's bedroom? Like, just knowing what all you can hear or see from the different angles. You can't always get that from one of those videos, or even the crime scene reproduction team that uses that Serta, or
right.
What's that camera that they use to recreate
360 scan camera, that will scan the environment.
You still can't gather your bearings like you can if you really truly have the house. So it is full of toxic chemicals from the crime scene. But if I was going to be on the jury, I would throw on a gas mask and go through the house. So,
I think also a thing that I think why I still want it to stand, even if we need to bring the jury by in a bus, to get out and just walk that area and have that feeling of the house being there, to be able to see maybe on the backside of the property, the jury goes there and they can look through the woods to see vantage points up on that hill area, behind where we now know where that blurred out house is. And we're going to get a little bit into that as the show goes, standing in front of the house, standing where that house on King, just in front of it, that had I say webcam, but I mean security cam, to see how far of distance that is to actually where the house is, I think would serve a great purpose in this. And even coming down that road, turning onto King and seeing where that house visibly can be as you turn that corner, I think is very important. I think vantage points and seeing that structure where it is remain intact, I think would help the jury if they wanted to see that. So Raina has a question.
Well, I think we will see too later tonight about why the vantage points around the house are so important.
Right.
So what is our question from Raina?
So I have a question. There's not been any audio that picked up screams, have they?
I don't believe
No.
so.
And a lot of the audio that is out there right now is not verified, and I would probably say it's bullshit. The only thing that we know is in the PCA that stated that it picked up a camera that had picked up on that camera. There was a loud thud and some whimpering. So I'm going to drop the link here. I know there's a couple of creators, approved creators in the room. If they want to jump on, absolutely. DJ, TB, if you want to jump on, please do. If not, you want to sit back and chat, it's no problem there too. So, but again, it's just something I wanted to raise question. I'm going to read a little bit of the article. I'm not going to get too much into it, but at least give some context to the audience if you don't know what's going on. Just pull this up real quick. Hey, Laura, how are you? Good to see you in here. We got DJ joining us. DJ, what's up, bro? You were in like Flynn, bro. You were up quick. I don't know if we can hear him.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you now, bro.
We can hear you, John.
All right. Hey, it's official. This is my first chat with a microphone.
Hey, brother. Sounding good,
right
man.
Right on. Does that sound good? Do I need to sing some LL?
It all depends on which song.
Yeah, right.
He's saying,
Cool.
Yeah. That's
cool,
awesome,
man. I'm excited. It's all coming
Great
together.
to see you.
My 15-year-old's been helping me all day, so you know how those teenagers are today. They can.
He was calling me the other day too. He's calling me today. Hey, I got some questions. I'm like, it's all right, man. Just fucking call me. It's good.
Right on. Thank you so much for your help, Bryan.
Yeah, absolutely. I told you, man. If you need anything, a logo, graphics, you've done enough here on this channel so far. You know that I would help you. I'm always here to help. So just let me know, bro. We'll get you up and going. I know you're kind of chomping at the bit to get your channel up and going. We're here to support you. TB will come over and help you. Laura will help you. And like I said, man, you need any graphics, you tell me what to do. I'll get them together for you, no charge. All I ask you is to come over and hang out on the panel with us and have a good time. That's all that matters.
Brother, I'll be over here all the time, and I want you guys both on mine when I bring it up. It's going to be fun.
Yeah, of course.
It's going to be epic. I got a lot of plans, some unique stuff that I want to do too. So
good.
It's probably going to be the beginning of next month because I've got a kind of a short vacation. I'm going up to Virginia to play ball, so I'll be there for a week. But anyway.
Good for you, man. All right, let me just read a little bit of this article just to give some context. So demolition of the home where the 4 University Idaho students were savagely murdered last year has been suspended while murder suspect Bryan Kohberger is trialed over the murders in college announced on Wednesday. The 3-story home, King Road in Moscow, Idaho, will remain intact until at least October, as the local population continues to grieve the 20 and 21-year-old students found slain November 13th last year. On one hand, some people want to take it down. It is a constant reminder of the heinous act that went on inside of it, University of Idaho President Scott Green wrote Wednesday in a school-wide memo. On the other hand, it elicits deep emotional responses from those who are working through the grief and fear that is destruction that could impact the case. This house, which now is owned by the university, has stood as stark reminder of what is lost, he said. We have lost our innocence and our sense of safety. We realize that evil can visit our town, and we lost 4 bright souls from our vandal family. It just gives a little background here. I'm not going to get into that. So it says, if possible, the home may be needed during the trial, either for evidence purpose or potentially the jurors to visit. That's just funny. I just said that. The victim were discovered with fatal knife wounds the next day on the 2nd and 3rd floors of the home. The women all lived in the home to 2 other roommates. We kind of know the background here. I think you're just going to give a little bit more background. He is scheduled to stand trial on October 2nd, but the judge announced this week it could be moved to November if Kohberger's team needs to prepare. However, the judge overseeing the case warned precious time is ticking. And I have to say this. I think Judge, and I'd love to hear, around the panel here, I think Judge has been extremely fair in this case. And that's my opinion here. I'll go to Laura first. What do you think?
Can you be What do I think about what Judge is
how
thinking about?
how he's been, I think, very fair to both sides of
Oh,
the.
he definitely is. And I mean, the man was born to do this. I mean, I'm sure all of his life, you know, an ongoing joke was, oh, you know, you should become a lawyer and then become a judge. Yeah, self-fulfilling prophecy. But I definitely think he's been more than fair to both sides. I mean, just watching him preside over the hearings and everything, he's also very human too.
Right.
He's not just a robot. So I think he's
From
been
the
more
area. Yeah, he's from the area.
yeah.
I think he's been extremely patient with Shannon Gray, which has probably been a little bit of a thorn in his side,
Yeah,
and well deserved. You know, Shannon should be. He's fighting for the G's.
yeah.
I think he's been extremely fair to Ann Taylor and the prosecution as well too. What do you think, DJ? You think that Judge has been fair?
Well, I think he's, he's presiding over a death penalty case, so he's gonna allow a lot of levity, um, especially with the defense, because he doesn't want to have any opportunity for an appeal. And I think, we can all speculate, but I believe he knows that the evidence is going to be very overwhelming.
Yeah.
So Ann Taylor is going to get some victories. She's going to get, probably going to get a lot of victories when it comes to trial on objections and things like that, because he's going to allow her some levity. And, but when it comes to suppressing evidence, I don't think she's going to get much of a victory rant when it comes to that.
Right.
But in trial, you'll see she'll get some victories, and then the naysayers will be going, oh, she won this, she won that. It's just going to be, just him ensuring that there's no grounds for an appeal.
So Crime Solver's asking the question, levity, how so?
How so? Well, I'm talking about and we won't know when she starts to object to things that the prosecution, when they're laying a foundation to try and, get evidence admitted during a suppression hearing, he may grant some certain things. Sure. Because he may feel like, right. He may feel like, okay, well, I got to let her win some. Mm-hmm. And, but when you have an overwhelming case, which I believe the state has, it's gonna kind of show that he's fair, So that's what I believe when it comes to a DP case. In DP cases, if you look at any of them, you'll see that the judge does allow some victories for the defense that normally probably.
Yeah, I think you meant leeway, and that's. Yeah, leeway, not levity.
Yeah, I meant leeway. I'm sorry. What did I say? Levity?
Levity.
I'm sorry. Leeway. My bad.
Leeway.
I'm tired. I've been working on the boat all day out in the hot sun.
He has been. He showed me some pictures today. It was pretty good.
Yeah.
Olivia B is asking, do you think he will plead before trial to avoid the death penalty? No. Nope. I think he's going to go all the way with this.
The state won't allow that. The state has to allow a plea. He can say he wants to plea all day long, but the state doesn't have to accept it, and that'll never happen.
A lot of people say no. They don't think so. So I wanted to just kind of bring up, that's been kind of the topic of conversation about the House. Again, I think that it should be something that stands through trial. Even if it can't make it all the way through, but just give the opportunity, at least the jurors, to go through. And we don't know. I don't think this trial is going to start in October at all. I think it's going to probably be sometime into 2024, maybe late winter or early spring. But it just remains to be seen. Or I don't know, maybe judge says, look, we're going to keep to the clock. We're going to keep to the time. We need to get this trial going and go from there. So it just remains to be seen. As
far as the House, I wasn't on when you guys were. I'm on the fence on that.
Sure.
We need to realize one thing. I mean, we've got technology today that we didn't have back in OJ. We didn't have in a lot of these cases in the past that everyone's familiar with. So, a lot of that terabyte information is going to be the 3D footage that they created of that house. I mean, you're basically going to be able to sit and watch, watch a video of a walkthrough of that house and the crime scene. And I know it's always great to be able to visit the crime scene. Sure. But we also have to remember that, like you said, I don't believe this case is going to go in October. If it does, I'll be really surprised. And you've got a town, Moscow, that needs to move on, and
Right.
you've got a very dark cloud lingering, within that community that needs to go away. So I'm kind of on the fence, but it really wouldn't provide much because the house is wiped. I mean, what are you gonna bring all the furniture back that's already been released and it's already cleared out?
Right.
The crime scene's been cleaned up. You've had your hazmat people in there cleaning it all up because
Sure.
of state law. So really, what is it going to provide? I don't think much, and I wouldn't be saying that if it weren't for the 3D
Sure. The scans.
video footage.
Mm.
So I'm kind of on the fence. So I see where the family wants it up, but I also, you got to figure this is a town that needs to get on and move on from this, and it's just really, really not a good thing to have that house sitting there.
Sure. Well, yeah, man, I respect that. I completely respect that. That's a really good take on it. And yeah, I think that's it's a good stance. What I wanted to do is, if you all haven't seen this, and let's just go back, this was about 3 months ago, and Brian Enton had exclusive access up to the house since it had been boarded up, and it's probably one of the closest people that have gotten up there. So I just wanted to play this 3-minute video to kind of refresh everybody of what it actually looks like at this time.
The site of the Idaho quadruple murder has been taped off for the last 4 months with no access to anyone until now. This is what the house looks like today. Our News Nation crew now able to walk up that driveway after months of extensive coverage and get a better look. You can see every window and doorway is boarded up, the property enclosed with a tall chain fence, yellow tape still up, and it's guarded by security. News Nation's Alex Capriello is live for us in Moscow, Idaho. And Alex, you were granted access to a space very few people get a chance to see.
Sorry, not Brian Enton, but I do know he did.
Nicole, that's right. As you know, I've been covering this case for several months now, but never before have I ever actually been able to stand that close to the crime scene. As you can see right now, I'm back on the street. That's because we just learned that after our exclusive reporting aired last night on Banfield, the security team that you see right here behind me completely barred my access to the home. But even still, I had enough time back there to gain a fresh perspective on both the crime and the accused killer.
Up close and personal, News Nation was granted access to the Moscow, Idaho murder house like no one has. Private security, on duty 24/7, led me to the back of the home, a place that's off limits to everyone except law enforcement.
So is it tough to be in charge of monitoring all this?
No, just make sure no one comes back here is really all the main thing that we're in charge of.
Yeah.
But as you can see, it's not fenced in, so, people can walk around and take pictures.
These private guards work 12-hour shifts every day. When a shift swap occurs, the guards will run a perimeter check, making sure the crime scene hasn't been tampered with. They allowed me to approach the door where accused murderer Bryan Kohberger allegedly entered before carrying out the massacre of 4 University of Idaho students. It's a scene frozen in time. The backyard littered with reminders of the fun these college kids once had.
But obviously the big change here, everything boarded off. Windows, doors. This is presumed to be the door that the murderer first used to get inside the home.
Kohberger is locked up less than 2 miles from the crime.
I remember when I first watched this video, and that wasn't anybody on the panel breathing like that. That was the cameraman.
Scene. Latah County jailers keep him closed off, but even still, he's not completely isolated from his fellow inmates. Sources with intimate knowledge from inside the jail say a new inmate was recently brought in and immediately harassed Kohberger from afar. "I'm going to kill you, Kohberger," the source claims the new inmate shouted. It was harassment that reportedly carried on all night. Soon, the inmate turned the verbal assault towards his guards. "I will get Kohberger to kill you," the source recalls. Guards were forced to move the inmate to keep the harassment from continuing.
And keep in mind, the Latah County Jail is only a 2,000 square foot facility located on the basement of the courthouse. We're told that Kohberger mostly keeps to himself, has lost a significant amount of weight over the past few months, and also receives weekly worship with a local pastor. Nicole?
All right, Alex, thank you for that. Well, tonight on Banfield, an exclusive interview with Kohberger's jailhouse pastor. What life is really like for the alleged killer. It's tonight, 10 p.m. Eastern,
Man,
only on News.
What's smart marketing right there? It kind of looks like she's going to have an interview with Bryan Kohberger, right? If you looked at that really quick, you'd be like, Banfield's going to talk to Kohberger?
Yeah, the way it sounded too, it
Right.
like she was going to interview him.
Yeah, I know. What's smart marketing?
It does look like that, doesn't it?
Damn, that was smart. Yeah, so I just wanted to give some context, go back to the house so everybody could get, kind of a visual on it. I think it's awesome that we just don't all agree on that as far as, what they should do with it. And, I love that sometimes because it gives two sides of the spectrum of how people feel. Another thing I wanted to get into, I was watching a little bit of JLR lately, and I know there's a couple of people in here in the chat were like, I don't like JLR, but he did actually bring up some interesting points, and there's going to be one video that he talks about that we'll get into here. But the first one I wanted to bring up was JLR talking about this suspicious witness, Kohberger and Bethany Funk. Let's just hear a little bit of what he has to say, and maybe we can elaborate on this. All right, let's play this.
Jonathan Lee Rich's investigates. Jonathan Lee Rich's investigates. I am covering the Moscow, Idaho Bryan Kohberger case. Let's talk about Bethany Funk and Bryan Kohberger. Bethany Funk. I am wondering if the defense ever got to speak to Bethany Funk with this so-called interview that was scheduled to happen in the Nevada area, Reno, Nevada. Bethany Funk, after the Moscow tragedy occurred, went down to Reno, Nevada, stayed with her family, and the defense has, subpoenaed her and claimed that she had exculpatory evidence. And Bethany Funk hired an attorney, or her family hired an attorney for her in the Reno area, a Reno family attorney, to challenge the subpoena, which ultimately ended up with some sort of agreement between Kohberger's defense and Bethany Funk for Bethany Funk to sit down with Kohberger's defense to purge herself. But that was before the indictment. That was before Bryan Kohberger got indicted. Did that happen? Did that meeting happen? And that remains unclear. But I have a lot of thoughts about Bethany and her role in this case. Does she have exculpatory evidence or not with the Bryan Kohberger case? Lately, Bethany Funk has been hanging out in California. I posted one video showing that she was recently seen.
Laura, you tracked down DM, right? You have some photos of her that just were recent out in public?
Yeah, both her and Bethany have been out in public, being the typical 19, 20-year-old selves.
Right.
They should be. A lot of people are making a big deal about them being out in public and partying or whatever, but my gosh, they're still kids. Like, yeah, they went through something horrible and tragic, and it's not over, but at least let them have something fun to do. I mean, they're college kids. Like, they deserve to have some fun too.
Right.
Hey, Brian.
In the
Yeah, brother.
If for the audience, a lot of people may not understand the definition of exculpatory.
Sure.
And I've done it before, but if you could pull up the definition so everyone can see it, because that's a very loosely used term by the defense. Everything that the defense presumes to be evidence that will support their client being innocent is exculpatory. So it's a big word it's a big word that's thrown out there, but I can assure you, if there was exculpatory evidence as they're purporting, then we would have already had a hearing, because they would have demanded a hearing before the judge if it was really that important. If Bethany's got that, that bombshell of evidence that's gonna exonerate Bryan Kohberger, then we would have already had a hearing.
We would have heard
and he would be either A, released, or B, have a bond. And none of that's happening. So this is another play by Ann Taylor, using a big word that people don't really know what it means. And it's really a nothing burger, no pun intended.
Sure. Yeah. So it
So
says here. I'm sorry, DJ. Sorry to cut you
go
off.
ahead.
Yeah. It
This
says here. It says, what is exculpatory evidence example? This is the most basic type of exculpatory evidence. For example, if a defendant, if the defendant, a tall man with short hair, is charged with bank robbery, and the video of the robbery shows that perpetrator is in fact a short female with long hair, the video would be exculpatory because it negates the defendant's guilt. So that would be an example.
And you know, when she said that he was 5'10" or taller, because she's almost 5'10". So they're trying to say, and we know that BK is allegedly 6'3", 6'4".
Sure.
Okay, so the defense is saying that she said 5'10". That's not what she said. She said 5'10" or taller.
Mhm.
So that could be the quote unquote exculpatory bombshell. Well, you know, BK is 6'3", 6'4", and she said 5'10". I mean, how many people? It's like you walk into a convenience store. They have the height tape on, if you notice, at the door. So that when somebody robs a store and they run out, you look. But you got an idea. You know, you don't. It doesn't say that he's 5'10". It says, okay, well, I think he was about 6 foot.
Right.
So I'm telling
his
you,
driver's license says 6 foot, and the PCA. Yep, it's a page 11. I found it. Yeah, I think I put it on my community tab or Twitter.
Yeah, he got his driver's license
when he was 16. So
yeah, but you have to get it renewed every 5 years. You have to get it renewed when you're 21, and then every 5 years after that, you're going to update. I think you're going to update your height. If you're a dude, you're updating your height, just like women update their weight. Just like women update their weight, you all are going to update that height. If you're 5'8" when you're 16, when you go back when you're 21, and if you're 6 foot or 6'4", you're going to say, "Ma'am, I'm 6'4". I personally, that's just my opinion.
Well, in the state of Pennsylvania, where Bryan had his license from, it's every 4 years, and they don't even ask when you go to the DMV to renew it. And actually, with the last, I want to say 2-3 years, once COVID hit, the state of Pennsylvania wasn't even having you go and have your new photo taken. They were slapping on the photo from the previous license and basically just mailing you a new card that looked exactly like your old one. So
yeah, no, that's what Vincent has. He has his ID from when he was literally 16 and he's 34. I don't know how he's done it. I don't know how he's continued to keep it, but his height and his weight has always changed, but his picture just hasn't.
They don't even
his picture's terrible.
They don't even ask that in Pennsylvania, though, whether your height or weight has changed. None of that. They don't even ask that. You go to the DMV and they just print you out the new card. And so the license that Bryan Kohberger would have had, his most recent one, probably by chances would have been a COVID license that was just mailed to him with his picture from the previous one, his height from the previous one, his the restrictions, his eye color, hair color, all that would have just been copy pasted onto a new one with a 4-year.
But if you're switching states, wouldn't that be different? Because he's switching states. He switched to a Washington, from a Pennsylvania license to a Washington license.
Did they have that one, or does he still have his Pennsylvania one? Because he was still considered a Pennsylvania resident. He had to be there in Washington for a year to get the residency for his program, and they were giving him a tuition waiver and considering him in state if he could become a Washington state resident, and I believe it took a year to do that.
Oh, yeah, that makes sense if it would. I know the license plate changes. The license plate changed, but I don't know about the ID.
That's what I'm thinking.
Is there a booking photo out there with this height on it, like a typical booking photo? I don't recall if I've ever seen one.
No.
There is a booking photo. Well, there's just the one of him sitting down. But does it have anything on it?
No.
It doesn't have anything on it.
There's a height.
Yeah, normally you have a mugshot, but
tape measure in the background or something.
Yeah, no, he was sitting down in his.
Hang on, I got it. Let me pull it up.
Yeah, they just snapped a picture, I think, of him.
I got it. Let's see.
I'll see if I can read about that.
It's this
Some
one right here.
counties don't always do that, but
it's right here to the right. If you can see my pointer.
Oh, I guess. I don't know what that is beside him.
It might list in some of his booking information his height and weight when you go to the clerk of the court for that county.
Here it is right here.
but it might list in the clerk of the court his information.
God,
I can look that up.
These ads are crazy, man.
Not that it matters. I'm just saying that's probably their bombshell, because really she didn't make much of a statement other than, his eyebrows and, his height.
Well, also there's that step right there. So I'm wondering if he was standing on top of that step or if he was stepped down into by her room. Do you know what I'm talking about? That hallway right there has that step that goes down. So I'm wondering if he was where he was positioned even.
Oh, we talked about that.
What they're going to try to do is discredit her as a witness and put her on a stand and then impeach her testimony. Whatever they're going to try to do, they're just going to try and they're grasping at straws right now, and that's all. All they have is the ability to fight the process. That's it, because everything else is going to be. I mean, look at this latest serial killer they just caught. The same stuff is nailed has nailed this guy.
Yeah, we were going through it the last couple of days.
Yeah, I think it's quite comical that some of these other creators are still on that BK's innocent train, based on laughing at the evidence and attacking the credibility of the evidence. It's so compelling. It's going to be awesome. The trial's going to be awesome.
I just did
the
math.
Murdaugh, be like Murdaugh all over again.
Oh, it is going to be. I just did the math, and with Bryan Kohberger's birthday, he would have, most likely, if he was 16 when he got his license, he would have gotten it in probably 2001. And then he would have had to get it renewed again in 2017, or like 16 years later, because it's every 4. He would have been eligible to renew his license after probably like November of 2021 or 2020. And that would have already been in the time frame when Pennsylvania just slapped a new expiration date on your old one.
Right.
So could you get license plates from a different state but not change your ID to that state?
Yes.
Yes.
I've done it before.
I've
moved to Connecticut. I kept all of my stuff here. Should be saying this on
that makes sense. I know, but I just saw
stuff here under my mom's address, so I could just keep my insurance and everything right here, because I knew I was going to move back in a couple of years. I just moved there for work, and then I drove out. But I did get pulled over once, and the funny thing is, I had to say to the officer, he goes, "What are you doing?" Like I was leaving work, and I was going home. I lived in Connecticut at the time. I was going home. I had a 15-minute drive home, but I still had my Massachusetts license. So I come off the on-ramp and I catch about 80 in my Beamer, and I come flying across all 3 lanes. He was sitting under the underpass. He saw me, he comes out, pulls me over, goes, "Where the hell are you going at 9:30 night, like a bullet, bat out of hell?" I'm like, "I'm just heading home." He's like, "Where do you live?" I said, "I live in Massachusetts." I said, "Here's my license." He goes, "Well, what are you doing all the way out here? Is this far into Connecticut?" So, well, I came up to help one of my stores. I drove out from Massachusetts to cover, and he's like, "Oh." So he goes, "Well, wait." So, he goes back, he runs me, he comes back, and he's like, "Hey, listen, I'm going to be dead honest with you. If you're coming up in this area, 75 to 78, we're not going to bother you. But if you're over 80 miles an hour, I'm going to pull you over all day and give you a ticket." He's like, "Just get back to Massachusetts. I don't want to see you out here speeding anymore if you're going to be coming out this way." And I was like, "Cool." I drove up 15 minutes and I went home because I was living in Connecticut at the time.
Yeah, well,
that's what you get when you got a car pushing 600 horsepower.
Yeah.
Well, Vincent has a California license, but Ohio tags. But
yeah, I don't like to lie to
Here.
police. I want to say that I don't like to lie to police, but it was a little,
Hey, Brian, the house, when they were just showing that house, and what would be cool to see is when they pan past the foundation behind Xana's room, where we saw the blood.
Yep.
Looked like that was cleaned off. Be pretty cool to go back and snapshot that and see if it's actually cleaned.
I don't.
That's
it might have been. Yeah, and that would kind of put the. And I know what you're saying. That would put the whole rust theory leaky pipe theory.
Yeah. So I'm curious to see. It definitely wasn't rust.
No, it was
definitely. And it kind of weighs a little bit of, to what I was saying. you know, you're going to bring jurors there and there's nothing to see. I mean, it's eerie to walk in there, yeah, but it's all boarded up. You know, I just don't I don't see where it's advantageous, and
Sure.
if both sides are agreeing not to have it, then it's not going to get brought up. So they're both conceding that you know, we don't need it.
Yeah.
And I'm just kind of thinking about being a resident in that town, you know, having to look at that and having that reminder. I get it. I mean, I get it, but people need to understand that this is going to be a movie, and it's really going to be laid out for them very well. They're going to see more than they would see going there for sure. Now, if they left it alone, then okay, but they didn't. It's just a shell now.
Yeah. Let me just recognize the super chat, and then we'll go into the next segment here. So Pamela sent over a $10.99 super chat. She says, "Great job, Bryan, and keep it real." Thank you so much, Pamela. I appreciate your donation. Thank you.
Great cash, homie.
All right. So let's move on. So what I wanted to talk about next, and I found this very interesting because I'm gonna go a little bit ahead forward, or I'm gonna go to current time, and then I want to go back a little bit. So I was kind of thumbing through, like I said, JRL's channel the other day, and I thought this was interesting because he brought up a video talking about secret texts. And I want to play the video, and then I want to actually talk a little bit about something that happened about 2 months ago between Laura and I. So let's play this video, see what JLR has to say.
Jonathan Lee Riches investigates. I am covering the Moscow, Idaho, Bryan Kohberger case. Let's talk about Dylan Mortensen and Bethany Funk, the two surviving roommates who were in that Moscow, Idaho home during the early morning hours of November 13th, 2022, when 4 college students got brutally stabbed. Authorities arrested Bryan Kohberger on 4 counts of first-degree murder and burglary. Now, I want to share some information with what is publicly known and information what is not publicly known. What is publicly known in reference to Dylan Mortensen and Bethany Funk? Well, according to the affidavit of probable cause, Dylan Mortensen and Bethany Funk, their phones were seized by authorities, and the authorities analyzed their phones. Check it out.
The combination of Dylan Mortensen's statements to law enforcement, review of forensic downloads of records from Bethany Funk and Dylan Mortensen's phone, and video of a suspect video, as described below, leads the investigators to believe the homicides occurred between 4 a.m. and 4:25 a.m.
So now let me tell you what is not publicly known. I'm going to share a tweet first with y'all, and then we will further discuss. Check it out.
I tweeted this out on my Twitter account at JLR Investigates. It's going to be real damaging for Dylan Mortensen and Bethany Funk when it gets publicly revealed that they were texting one another during the murders. Bryan Kohberger case.
During the murders, Bethany and Dylan were texting one another. That was told to me by a very, very credible source close to this case. And the grand jury heard that information. The grand jury that indicted Bryan Kohberger, that Dylan and Bethany were both texting one another during the murders. During the murders. And when they were texting one another, I'm told they were texting about what was going on in the house at that time. Bethany is a mystery because Bethany, I believe in those texts, said stuff different than what Dylan was saying in those texts. And that's possibly why the defense of Bryan Kohberger thinks Bethany has exculpatory evidence and they wanted to speak to her. But they were texting with one another, and authorities have that text. Those texts, a series of texts.
All right, I'm not going to play too much. I think we understand what he's getting at. But I want to challenge JLR because I'm going to tell you why. And that's, I'm joking, of course, when I say challenge, but I want to share something with you. So back when we knew that Bethany Funk was getting I guess, having this meeting with the grand jury, Laura and I were in a chat. This is back on 5/8/2023. And we're back in our little, and I was actually the opinionated idiot at the time. And we're back in our little Discord chat. And I was trying to get Laura to basically say what I wanted her to say. So I said, I somehow think Bethany Funk has something on her phone. And guess what? I clipped the same thing so we were already ahead of you, JLR. So don't even tell me you just broke this news. And I'm having fun.
Yeah.
So the final, I said, we clipped this. I said the final mention of Funk in the affidavit states that police forensic downloads of their phone and determined the homicides occurred 4 a.m. to 4:25 a.m. I said the information on her phone led police to think what time the crimes happened. I said she's got something, and Lauren said, and I was waiting. I wanted her to say it. She said she and Dylan were texting, and I went bingo. And I literally pick up the phone. We have a phone conversation, and I said the next live that we do, we're going to bring up this information. So I want to go back to on May 13th, and I want to play this little segment. And this is the idea that Laura and I had, and I haven't heard this in 2 months. So I want to see if we particularly think the same thoughts. And I would love to hear the panel kind of jump on this too, because I still think that they were texting.
I do too.
Let's play this real quick, and then I want to hear from Detective John and Tanya. We're just basing opinions, but I think we're watching a video of me on my live stream.
This is
what I want to.
This battle is with defense and Bethany Funk and bringing all this up. This is very important.
And that was a hell of a show, Laura. We did a great presentation.
Oh yeah, that was great because we had that epiphany that one evening, and we were like,
right,
it's been staring at us in the face this whole time.
If you haven't seen that show, I'm gonna drop that in the chat. Go back and watch that. Did Xana Kernodle encounter alleged killer Bryan Kohberger in the kitchen? The presentation that we put together was amazing for that. But anyway, we'll roll on here. I want everybody to pay attention. I want everybody to read this, and I want everybody to listen, because it's an opinion. It's alleged. The final mention of Funk in the affidavit states that the police reviewed forensic downloads from her phone to determine the homicides occurred between 4 a.m. and 4:25 a.m. Forensic downloads to determine that the homicides happened between these times. They were fucking texting each other.
Did you hear that?
Did you hear that? They were texting each other.
Yep.
Because there's timestamps on those texts. They probably heard noises. Now, I'm not going to go anywhere and say they're involved and they set all this up and blah, 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 blah. But it leads me to believe, based on this information, there were some text conversations going on. Did you hear that? Are you up?
If they were asleep, or say even if Bethany was asleep, yeah, I mean, we're just talking about Bethany right now. If she was asleep at that time, there wouldn't be anything going on her phone between 4 and 4:25 or whenever she fell asleep until whenever she woke up. So why,
based on the forensic downloads of their phones,
I was so convinced there.
That they would determine between 4 and 4:25 a.m. There's timestamps. They were talking to each other. It has to be it. Or they were texting their roommates going, what's going on? What's going on?
Yep.
Or there's phone calls. What's going on up there?
Yep.
Brenda thinks it's
Who's
crazy.
this masked dude running around? You guys bring somebody home
Right.
tonight?
I don't.
I think
Yeah, I
in a
was
good
gonna
way.
say I
Wow,
don't
that's
know.
crazy. You know.
All right, let me pause it and let you all chime in.
I don't think that maybe Bethany or Dylan maybe wasn't texting Bethany per se. I mean, it could have been definitely for sure, but maybe she was, because I would think she would text Xana and Kaylee first, because they're the ones making the noise. You know, like she hears the noise upstairs from Kaylee, and then she hears, Kaylee playing with the dog, and then she hears the noise coming from towards Xana's room saying, someone says, I'm going to help you. I would be calling Xana and Kaylee first, being like, what's the noise? Don't you think? And then maybe call Bethany if they don't respond. But if they didn't respond, don't you think that you would
Well,
go
Let me
check.
debate you really quick. Wouldn't you think that if you lived in that home, you probably had a group text? So she
For
texts
sure.
out, they group text out, and Bethany's the only one that responds.
That
and
could
no
be
one
it
else
for
is
sure.
responding because I'm telling you,
That could be it.
I'm telling you, this is my theory on it because now I've gotten time to think about it a little bit more. I think now that I've gone back and thought about this and reviewed this, there was a loud commotion in that house that evening. I don't think it was as silent as people think it is. And probably what's happened, if you think about it, and I'll say this to everybody on the panel, I'll say this to the chat room. What has been the most things that we've heard about that particular area? It's loud. There's parties going on all the time. The neighbors are always complaining about the noise, noises in and around that neighborhood. So at 4 o'clock in the morning, if you're hearing screaming and yelling, you probably think it's just a bunch of kids having a good time.
Mm-hmm.
So the way that I look at it is some group text went out, maybe a group text went out, and Bethany was the only one that responded. And that would make me believe Bethany's downstairs, there's text going out, Dylan's up on that floor anyway. She goes out to check to see what's going on, and she's not seeing anything, but she's hearing shit.
Yeah.
That's what I thought about it when I started rethinking this. And that's
not to mention that, there's a dog in play here,
but if
everybody lives below them, and that dog is not a small dog. It probably sounds like a herd of elephants half the time. And there's a lot of to do about a couple things, like, the one being there's somebody here. So let's go back to the DoorDash. So when somebody pulls in front of your house at night and the headlights shine across the front windows, what is the first thing you're going to say? Somebody's here. So that's my theory on that. I don't know if I'm weighing too much on the fact that they're saying somebody's in the house. I think it because it was all around the same time or close to the same time when the DoorDash came.
Well, we're going to get to that.
We also need to remember that Xana was on her phone as well. So you're right. It could have been a group chat. I believe 100% there's a group chat probably going, hey guys, I'm trying to sleep. What the hell's going on?
Tanya, what were you going to say? I want to hear what you had to say. Let's hear.
It was something about the second floor. I couldn't remember.
Agree here. We may not all agree, and I think that's what's great.
Yeah.
That's what makes a productive panel. So go ahead, Tanya. I want to hear what you
had
to say.
I couldn't remember it. I was something about the second floor, and her like getting a hold of Xana because they were on the same floor together. Sure. I was thinking because if she's hearing noises above her and beside her, maybe she heard something below her. I mean, I'm the one that's on the front door. I'm that front door girl. I think that there's something happened with the front door. Either he came in the front door, left the front door. The front door was open the next morning at 8:39 by a neighbor, they said. So, I mean, maybe he did go downstairs and Dylan heard all the commotion upstairs, heard it on the second floor, then maybe heard him go to the first floor, and she was just trying to text everybody.
But wouldn't you think, though, at 8:30 in the morning, if you woke up to a bloodbath, what's the first thing you're probably going to do? Run out of that house, right? Could be one of the roommates that ran out and left the door open, right?
That's true, yeah. I mean, but I don't think that they would have ran out that early. Do you think? The call was at 11:58.
Sure. Go ahead, John.
I got a theory on a lot of that. Before I even get out of bed in the morning, someone's texting me or calling me or whatever. And, we do know that Hunter was basically the first one to respond over there. So he's got a relationship with Bethany, Xana, and all the girls. So maybe, this is just a theory that he's actually communicating with Bethany via text, and Bethany walks out of her room into that murder scene and is screaming, or maybe she's talking to him on the phone, maybe she's texting, and lets him know what's going on. And that's why he runs over there and he calls 911. So the opportunity never was given to either girls to call 911 because, he was Superman. He flew over there because he was probably on the phone with one of them. That's just a theory, but it makes sense to me.
Laura?
Well, I was thinking it makes total sense that there was a group chat I know that's typical with college students to create a group chat, whether it was text or actually Snapchat, because they're most likely to use Snapchat for them to do that. And they saw that they weren't, if it was Snapchat, they could see who read it, who's seen it. And they would be like, why, Dylan or Bethany, why are you the only one responding? What is going on? That's what I'm thinking. Like group chat. Murphy wasn't known to be much of a barker. So I just don't know.
That's the $1 million question. These are that's been the $1 million questions in all of this.
What happened during that time frame and what happened until 911 was called?
Right.
But and someone just said too that they should have done something bottom line or something to that effect. I mean, we can all sideline quarterback that all we want, but I can guarantee you in trial, we're going to know the reasons.
Right.
We're going to know the reasons why they didn't dial 911. And we don't know for a fact that they didn't dial 911.
I mean, here's the thing though too.
Who dialed 911? We don't even have a 911 call.
Yeah. Let me just say this too. Okay. Let's put you in a situation, okay, that you've gone to bed. Let's say you've gone to bed, and let's say they didn't hear anything or whatever. And you wake up the next day. Right. And you wake up the next day and there is a bloodbath in your house and you are the two surviving people. Wouldn't you kind of think the first fucking thing that the cops are going to think? They're going to think we did this.
Right.
So
I think the doors were closed. I don't think they saw as much as everyone thinks. I mean, because if you're going by what Christy Gonzalez came out and said, she said that they called over Hunter because the girls couldn't get Xana's door open. And Hunter saw when he could pry the door open, when he got his head around the corner, he saw, I guess what he saw, and he said, get the F out, but said the word was like, get out right now. And then I think Dylan had her phone, maybe her passcode was off. She was calling 911 and he grabbed the phone from her and took over the call. That's why it says it was called on a surviving roommate's phone, but the officer makes it implied it wasn't by a surviving roommate. And then Christy came out and said this, so it kind of ties together.
What bothers me about the whole thing is everyone's so upset about that. The only difference it would have made is perhaps the police would have got there and secured a perimeter and BK would have been caught quicker.
I don't believe.
The end result would not have changed anything.
Absolutely.
And people are making it sound like these two girls are at fault for allowing this to happen. And it had already happened. It was a done deal. The deed was done. And, everybody can point a finger all they want. And Ann Taylor thinks there's exculpatory evidence. What exculpatory evidence? Yeah. I'm telling you right now, if there's exculpatory evidence, he would be out on bond or he would be released. That's what the term exculpatory means. So it's a loosely used term by the defense to change perception about this case. It's a word game. Don't hate the player, hate the game.
Yeah, it's just like the whole thing when we heard the two explanations. We had the motion to compel discovery about the DNA evidence, and then Ann Taylor's response, where she talked about the knife was placed. Those are words to throw off and words to create doubt. The way that was
and that's
written.
her job. I'm not faulting her for it.
She's defending her client.
She's doing a great job, and her response was epic and unprofessional in my opinion, and I still believe that she was admonished by the judge behind doors or an email or something. We'll never know.
She did apologize that next hearing. She said
she did, and she was backstroking 100%.
Right.
And you listen to some of these other creators, and they're jumping up and down that it was a major victory. I think not, because that next hearing she was humble. She was humble pie, and she knew she messed up. Just my opinion.
Yeah. So Snap Sharon's asking. I'm sorry, not the knife. Listen, we get things wrong too. It's a lot of timelines, a lot of dates, a lot of things. The sheath. I'm sorry, the sheath. So we'll just clear that up. Look, there's a million things to remember in this case, and you can't remember them all. So I apologize about that. I meant the sheath, the way that she talked about the sheath. Okay, let's go on to the next segment. Laura, did you want to add anything before we go on, or can we go on?
No, let's go.
All right. I think everybody's going to find this video extremely interesting. I know over the last 2 weeks there was the security cam footage with all the timestamps on there, about 5 hours of film. And I found an excellent video. If you haven't all seen it, Gray Hughes Investigates did an amazing animation and used all of a lot of the clip and footage from the camera timeline. I know AZ is in the room, and I think you're going to really enjoy this video as well, because there's been a lot of conversations that you and I have had, Laura has had as well. So let's pull this up here. And this video is from his channel. I'm going to drop the link. I'm going to credit him. He does amazing work over there. I only wish I had the time to do stuff like this. But let's play this through. And he's basically going to match up the PCA with an animation and the video clips that we've just recently seen. So here we go. 4:05 and 49 seconds. And this is called the Idaho 4 Surveillance Confirms Probable Cause.
Hello, this is Gray Hughes of Gray Hughes Investigates on YouTube. Please hit the like, share, and subscribe buttons. I would really appreciate it. Today's video is regarding newly released surveillance videos from the early morning hours of November 13th, 2022, the night that 4 young college students were brutally murdered. The lives of Haley Gonzalez, Madison Mogan, Ethan Chapin, and Xana Kernodle were all taken by a vicious psycho. An individual named Bryan Kohberger has been arrested, and I believe that Kohberger is the aforementioned psycho. Some people question the validity of these new videos, but I believe them to be authentic. At the beginning of this video, you can hear a car horn and its specific cadence in the body camera video at 2:54:24. Then, you can also hear in the surveillance footage at 2:54:24 the same faint horn sounds. I think this serves to validate the surveillance videos. The videos are also taken in the correct location where the white Elantra would have turned around. I will also show in the video what I think is happening in the surveillance footage and how it relates to the probable cause document.
Tanya, can I ask you why you don't trust any of the videos? I'd just be curious. I haven't heard your take on it.
I just don't see him being a criminology student, a doctoral student. Well, there's a couple reasons, and this is one. And doing all this stuff where he almost didn't get caught, really. But as of right now, really that knife sheath, like even turning his phone off and stuff. Him circling this complex for like 4 or 5 times like this. The way that I see it in the PCA is different than the way they're showing it on the Linda Lane footage. And then just it exchanging so many different hands. We don't even know where the original source was for it. I just feel like anybody could have doctored the images and the audio. It's probably because I live with Vincent and he's a camera guy and he's like, well, I could have done that, and I'm like, what, like, you know what I mean? Like, so I listen to that too, like an outside kind of person. I mean, it does look like an Elantra. I'll give it that. It does.
Have you seen this video?
I've seen part of it, but it's just the fact that car's circling. What do you think?
Well, he was circling. It does match up to the PCA. He did circle.
Yeah, but the way in the PCA, like the way that I see it, because Gray Hughes did another video, and his last video he did, it doesn't look anything like this. He has him at 500 Queen, fit number 52, but that's in front of the apartments. That's not even over here. So in this video, he switches it up, and that's when I just was like, I got confused.
You have footage now that would corroborate that, so it would probably help a little bit more, because at that point, I think you're probably speculating, but now you have this new evidence out there. I'm not agreeing or disagreeing. I think it's great that you have a different take on it. I like this theory the best, as I've investigated, looked through it, and I'm like, all right, this makes a lot of sense to me. So but I mean, everybody has their different take. I thought maybe probably some of the audio in the video people were messing with, but as far as the standard still, well, I call it a fixed camera, and like Detective John was saying that looks kind of like a DVR type of recording. It very well may be, or it's just some sick son of a bitch got in a white Honda Elantra, turned the camera on, and went up and did all these motions and said, "Here you go."
Yeah.
Now this video is 100% legit in my opinion.
I mean, it's 8 months into it though too. That's just, I don't know. That's what gets me too.
It's 8 months into it, but remember, I don't know if I can't remember if you were on panel when we were talking before. When the police sees that DVR, it goes through a process. It's got to be, and there are many DVRs, I can assure you, that were seized. There was also, some DVRs have the ability to burn right there, on site, but I don't believe this one did. So they came, they seized it, they took it, they retrieved the data, then it had to go through a whole process going back through, evidence and then being released back. That could take months. So I believe this is a legit video. And if you go, if you're anyone's questioning whether that's an Elantra or not, that video that Jeff did, where he superimposed an Elantra right on it, it's 100,000%.
But I mean, that shark fin on the back, BMW's got those. Vincent's got one on his car. Whoever did that little pointy thing they're like, look at the shark fin. You can see the shark fin. I think it was like Mob Crew or someone did it. Yeah, where they cover the antenna with it. I'm like, I could go out in the parking lot right now and take a picture of Vincent's car at that angle, and it's going to look like it's a white car. It's going to resemble the same car.
But we're not
in my eyes. But maybe that's
we're looking at this the car, eyebrow. The windows. You see the eyebrow, the windows where it comes up.
Yeah, I've looked at all that. I just personally think it could be a different car. It could be another Elantra. There's 22,000 Elantras in that area. I mean, I know that it's the same timing and stuff.
It could be. It could be, but it's an Elantra. That's for sure. I can tell you that. It's
to me, it's just 5 hours worth of footage went out for, I don't get it. Maybe that's what.
Well, it lines up with the PCA. 100%.
Yeah, the
BMW. I believe this is legit.
So what time is this? 4:05. Okay.
What were you gonna say, Laura?
That's just my opinion.
Oh, I was just seeing what the time was over there. 4:05.
No, I said Laura. I think was gonna say something.
The BMW is much earlier in the video, when it has nothing to do with.
Yeah, it has nothing to do.
Oh no, I wasn't saying that. I'm talking about I could take a picture.
12:49.
Yeah, no, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about it just in general, like, maybe not the same like window structure, but I could get a lot of people convinced that the car I have outside looks like a white Elantra in a certain angle. Just like that person that put out the 12:45 a.m. footage had a lot of people convinced that wasn't Bryan Kohberger's car, so he wasn't in the area, is what I'm saying. I think if people are looking for something, they may see it.
So you don't think the video
and maybe it's me. I mean, I got one eye over here, so I might be in the wrong. I might be not seeing it right.
You're dismissing the video. You don't think it has any validity?
I don't know if even if it's him, what is it? Okay, so even if it's a white Elantra, what does it prove though? I mean, does it prove it's him? That's what I. Yeah, I mean, it could prove there's a white Elantra in the area. I'm just playing devil's advocate for a minute because
absolutely. Yeah.
But that's what people will say too. They'll say, well, there's 22,000 Hyundai Elantras in the area. What if it was someone else?
Here's the thing. You have 12 jurors that are going to have to believe that beyond a reasonable doubt. Okay, so when you put this together, what are the chances at 4:05 in the morning when these homicides occurred that another white Elantra is driving around within 300 feet of the murder house?
Well, the lady that obtained this,
you've got to lay that in front of a jury, and a jury is going to have to decide whether it's reasonable to believe that that's not possible. So,
according to the lady that bought this, the cops don't have it.
Let her respond.
The cops don't have this footage, according to the lady that sold or that bought the footage
Who's the
from
lady?
the apartment.
Who'd you hear that from?
It was like on Twitter. No, it wasn't Sleuthy. It was someone else. It was somebody that knows through Sleuthy, but it was like the woman that had bought the footage didn't give it to the police.
I don't think if it had any validity, she wouldn't have been up in arms about it.
So you think because it does look like it's Brian's car, that's why she's upset
Yep.
I'm sorry. I was
Because I
trying to
think
understand it.
it's, and I don't care. I'll say it if she wants to come on and challenge me sometime, because I think it squashes a lot of the bullshit that's been put out there.
Yeah.
Yep. And we know the channels that do it.
Right. And you know what, everyone,
Tanya, I don't want to put you in a position, but I don't care if Sleuthly wants to come after me. It's fine. Everybody in this chat room can tell her. I don't care.
I just think this, I mean, it just changed hands to too many people. Too many people. I mean, we've seen so many fake audios. I've seen so many overlays since Kylie Rodney case. It's like they were so fake. They were so, the overlays were fake of her car. They were saying that it wasn't her car going into the water. Look at this, look at that. For months, people still do it to this day. So that's why I think I see things. I'm skeptical when I see things. You know what I mean? Like if it's like too good to be true, I'm like, is it?
So if you were on a jury, Tanya, and you saw this video evidence combined with all of the other testimony and the timeline and everything else, you would actually decide that, I don't think that's the car.
If I wouldn't have seen Gray Hughes, and I know he has more information now, that's why he made this video. If I wouldn't have seen his first video where the cars were completely in a different spot, then I probably would believe it more. It's because there's just where I'm putting the car at, it just doesn't make sense to me.
So when we're deliberating,
like when I look at a map,
when the jury's deliberating and you've got 11 others that are saying that's a car, you're going to be that one that's holding out and saying, no, I don't think that's the car. And this is the nail that we're going to put in his coffin. Well, this is proving a point.
I can say a lot of things about it.
This is great, healthy debate here, because this is what people need to realize.
No, this is great.
It only takes one. It only takes one person. Okay, so you could be that person.
Hang on one second. I just want to make this. I want to make this really, really clear. We're not attacking anybody here.
Oh, yeah.
We're having a healthy.
And
we're having a healthy debate.
You know that I do.
Yeah.
You know how I feel about Bryan Kohberger and his
absolutely
guilt.
Absolutely. I just want everybody to make sure there's not anything happening. We're just having. This is great. I love when we. I love when we don't agree all the time.
Yeah.
Right.
It expands our minds a little bit more.
Well, I think it was just me. I just couldn't with this car. I couldn't say, yeah, that's the car. I would have to have a better view. Now, the rest of the evidence against him, I would still say, well, okay, taking into account all the other evidence, then, he's guilty. Like, because that's what you have to do. You have to take the circumstances, the totality.
So the superimposed video of this same video that Jeff H did, where he took an Elantra and he superimposed it right on top of that. And every line, every body line, every window line of the brow of the window, front and back, matched perfectly. Would you would you agree that it was an Elantra?
Not if it wasn't anybody. That was not law enforcement. I love Jeff H. He was in my chat earlier. I was like, come back tomorrow. I love you. No, I love Jeff H. But if it was law enforcement that did that, or like FBI put that together, then and I was on the jury, then I would believe it. If it was like an expert that did that, then I'd be like, oh,
how do we know they haven't though?
I would submit that they have.
And I mean, Jeff is a pretty good expert. I'm not saying anything to discredit Jeff because I do like him a lot. I was telling Summer about him earlier. I was like, he's so good with graphics.
I was on the phone with Jeff when he was putting this together, and we were talking about superimposing, the car on top, and that's what I would have done had it been my case. With technology that we have, I would have had, an expert in videography like himself within the department go ahead and throw that together for me for the case. And, that's what he did. We talked about it and he did it and it came out exactly perfect. So coming from a guy that's done this for a long time, I would submit 99.9% that law enforcement did do this, and a very similar video will be used for the jury.
All right, let's play the video.
We got something for you guys in just a little bit. Just hold on. I have some information too.
All right, let's play the video. That was great. Great. All
so let's get started on that right now.
That was perfect.
Hey, is that beer?
That was great.
So let's get started on that
Let's
right
get
now.
started right now. That was
Let's
great.
get ready to rumble.
Yeah, right. All right, let's play this out.
Is that beer in your hand? Is that beer?
So you can definitely hear that the cadence was correct. So I will be putting probable cause statements over the video as it plays. You can see right now it says the vehicle was seen on Indian Hills Drive at 3:26 a.m., the white Elantra, and it was also observed around the same time that it was missing its front license plate. And you can see the white Elantra heading up north here. It's about to take a left.
Yeah.
He should be pulled over by now.
And in just a moment here, it passes an A&W.
What's that? Me?
Is that our
The
Brian
other-
driving that car?
Yeah, right. Tanya said he should be pulled over by now.
Oh no, that's not an Elantra. That's a Beamer.
Yeah, it's a Beamer. It's a silver
Which
Beamer.
one? What color is yours, Brian?
It's silver.
Okay, well, we got a white one over here. Uh-oh.
Okay.
He just had it wrapped.
Restaurant, and I remember there was reporting during the very early days that an A&W picked it up, and it's right here at the Steiner Avenue and Idaho State Highway 95 intersection, and that's at 3:28. Looking at Google Maps, it takes 2 minutes approximately from there, but we don't know if it was right at 3:28 or was it in the 3:28 minute, right? Like it could have been 3:28 and 35 seconds. But it takes 2 minutes to drive from there, which would make it 3:30 on the dot. But, you know, if it was 3:28 and 45 seconds, it would be 3:30 and 45 seconds ish. You know, we don't really know how fast somebody's going to be driving. He might have been driving a little bit slower to avoid being pulled over, like he seems to have been pulled over so many times. And if you look right back here, it's 3.
That is a first, and I'm sorry. Taiwan in the house tonight, watching from Taiwan. Well, Tammy.
Hey, Tammy Lynn.
You are the first from Taiwan watching the chat. Thank you. That's great.
3:30, and about 50 seconds is when it got back there. Pass number 1. I believe this is the white Elantra right here. And as you can see, he turns right and goes around. There's actually a way to loop around, and this is what it looks like. You can go through and make it back out, and this is on the map. You can see where the
Brian,
car
do you
would go.
want to pause that for a second?
Yeah.
So you guys can see the house right toward the middle of the screen. It's like yes, thank you, Brian. That residence is blurred on Google Maps, and typically the reason that a property is blurred on Google Maps when we look at Moscow is because they have had footage of something to do with this case, which we found with some of the other neighbors. When looking, the property owner actually posted on social media, if you have footage from the night of November 13th, please turn it into Moscow PD, assuming that this property owner also did the same. And the only reason I can see where it's a couple, where their property would be blurred was because they had cameras. And I'm assuming that they had cameras in the rear of their property. Property is valued to be a few $100,000. Usually people with properties valued like that in a town will have cameras. It won't be a large investment. And according to what Gray Hughes just said, the car in question went to the rear of their property, went past it.
I did hear something about that.
We're
about
gonna
the
get
house.
Their backyard completely overlooks this little tiny alley between.
We've seen photos of it
Between Linda Lane and the Queen Apartments. So this little alley here like their backyard overlooks Linda Lane.
We've investigated. I don't want to pull up the photos because it will dox the property.
I know that the front property does have a camera on the front by the front door.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In that rear view, we have seen photos from that backyard, and you can see the water tower almost lining right up with King Road House. It's to the left.
It lines up more with Linda Lane, but you
Linda
can,
Lane.
depending on which way you're sitting in the backyard, you can see everywhere from Linda Lane, the back of the Queen Apartments, and over to 1122 King Road.
Yeah.
So,
and you know, Janet's asking, property owners can request the property blurred out. We could do that. I wonder. Yeah, most likely all of the properties that have been blurred out to this point, we have found out or investigated or you know, found out that they have some type of camera footage or audio, you know, maybe possible audio footage that's been recorded. And this house is blurred. I'm going to go on the determination that they had a camera pointing into that backyard. And when we get to the end of the video, I'll give you kind of my final result as to why I think that. So let's watch the video. It's a little bit of a lengthy video, but when that car gets into that area, I'm going to point out why I think they have video footage.
And I think he probably, each time he looped around, he either pulled into the parking spot where those other two cars are down there, or he just waited right there and he was surveilling the house, maybe sitting there for 2 or 3 minutes each time.
That was a
conspiracy. And he drives away.
Theory.
And that was loop number 1. He's now in the process of starting loop number 2.
You know, I guess we can't say though that there wasn't a tripod camera in that backyard. I mean, they could have had it. Based upon what I know about the homeowners, or another home actually in that area, there is a home in that area that, based upon, I don't want to dox anybody, so I'm trying to choose my words carefully. It would make sense for what the homeowners do for a living and their hobbies and everything, that they would have a camera, a tripod. So I don't know. I mean, I like to see the receipts, but from what I know, it is plausible that there was a legit tripod camera, but I can't say for sure. I don't have anything to back it. Just my suspicions are telling me it is possible. So let's keep going.
Yeah, Simba 499 super chat says many cameras close to the house. Police have the video. Thank you, Simba. And Freed is saying that you can request Google to blur out your house for privacy. Yeah, we get that, but you have to remember everything that's been blurred out so far. If you go down on that road, if you go in that area and look at the houses that have been blurred, what has happened? There has been some type of connection or evidence that has helped in this case. And I just find it very strange that that backlot house is now blurred, but no other house around there is blurred. Not to the right, not to the left.
Those are very good points. I agree.
Right. And that leads to tell me that they have some type of evidence that is helping in this case, because it's blurred out for privacy. Just like the house that we found out that's in front of the King Road house that had the camera outside of it. That house is blurred. There's a house just as you turn onto the corner of King that used to not be blurred, but now is blurred. We think there's a camera position there as well, too. So let's play this out.
And I'm basing this on the probable cause document, where it does mention that he took 3 loops, and then there was a 4th loop, and all of those loops are captured on the surveillance footage. I believe this surveillance footage is real, like I stated, but I can't prove that it's authentic because I don't have the video or where it came from. But I think that audio that we played a minute ago definitely proves to a significant degree that it's real. You think somebody would have put the horn in the background of a surveillance footage that's faint just to sort of make it match the body camera? I doubt it.
Gail,
I mean, that would be ridiculous. And there's actually 4 hours. Why would somebody waste time? The other hours aren't really that significant. I think these are all actual
can't say ridiculous
surveillance videos that were released, whether with somebody's permission or not. So this is likely the loop. It's Willanta Drive all the way around, and then it makes its way back over to King Road. And I've included a clock at the top of the screen, which gives you what time it would be approximately when this is happening. So here comes the white Elantra. It's about to get to King Road. This is pass number 2. And then takes a left on Queen Road. And then in just a moment, it's going to be in front of 500 King Road. And this is where it does another loop at 339.07. Pass number 2, 339.10 is what I have written there, but I was looking at the time on the video right there. And then it does the same thing, goes right through here again, and at the end of the street right there, you can park your car and look and surveil 1122 King Road. That's the building directly in front of the vehicle as it's parked right there. Now, this time I have it sitting there for 8 or 9 minutes or so because there's a bigger gap now. It was basically 9 minutes, and now this one on loop number 3 is around 16 minutes or so, maybe 17. And here it goes around. The same thing, Willanta Drive. It even says that in the probable cause that on each loop, it took Willanta Drive. I think it's astounding out there how so many people want to find something else and are looking for any angle to have some sort of content in this case by accusing all of these other, even though there's an arrest made, the probable cause document is absolutely incredible. And people are looking for ways out and trying to pin it on these absolutely innocent people that are out there walking around.
He's right.
It's incredible. I don't know why that stuff sells, but it sure does. People love watching the conspiracy theories. Doesn't make sense to me. So here we go. He's about to complete the third pass here. After this turn here, he'll head down to King Road. And the third pass is exactly the same as the first two. And it's amazing how easily and simply this lines up with the probable cause document. They must have other video. It seems like it,
That's funny. It sounded like an oven timer that went off, and he got a little mad. While
and here it comes back behind the.
I noticed that
King Road, or it's actually the Queen Road, 500 Queen Road, and it's pulling around right there. And now look at the time. It's pass number 3 is at 3:57:01.
Okay, I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
Didn't he just say that because he was right in front of the Queen Road right there?
I can back it up.
Okay.
Yeah, let's back it up a little bit.
Maybe I missed it.
It's okay.
And here it comes back behind the King Road, or it's actually the Queen Road, 500 Queen Road, and it's pulling around right there. And now look at the time. It's pass number 3 is at 3:57:01. And you can see the vehicle stops there again. This time, I think it's just for that shorter amount of time at 4 o'clock. And then, interestingly, right around the same time is when the DoorDash driver got there. Okay, the DoorDash order at the residence.
I wish you would have had a DoorDash car pulling up.
They've identified the DoorDash driver.
Would have been interesting to see how far.
And his first one he did.
Mortensen stated she woke up at approximately 4 a.m.
This is a lot of work. He must be like a computer programmer or something.
He's failing to maintain a single lane.
Should we pull him over?
He's all over the road.
He's drunk. Yeah, curious. You can drop the link. We'll pull it up. No problem. Drop that link. We'll check it out. I don't know if it's gonna...
while this is running, I just want to.
So this is loop number 4, and loop number.
Yeah.
What we were talking about earlier. Now, I think I can't speak for Tanya, but I believe that Tanya, is pretty much leaning that BK is probably our guy. So what we had there was an exact scenario where you have a jury pool that's deliberating, and you have a situation where you're discussing evidence and not everyone's in agreement. So I made it a point to and Tanya and I'm not in any way trying to be rude to her or anything else. I'm just we're debating the evidence, and this is exactly what happens in a jury.
I've been in one.
When they're back there and they're trying to figure out what whether this guy is guilty or not. So that right there that's why I asked Tanya. So if we're 12 and you're that one, this is the piece of evidence that's going to convict him. Are you going to be the one that holds out and cuts this guy loose on a hung jury? Right. That's all I'm saying. Yeah. So I just seized the opportunity to kind of give some validity to what actually happens, and so people can understand this is how it works. And we have.
This makes sense.
Great debate.
But I will say, it does say in the PCA, he says that that the car makes 3 initial passes past the King Road residence, and each time it leaves out Watlanta Drive each time. But in the PCA, it says it a little differently. It says it makes 3 passes by the King Road residence, and then it leaves out Watlanta Drive.
But remember, they have other video too. He's going off of this video that we're talking about.
Oh, I was going off the PCA.
Yeah, but he's combining this video with the PCA, unless I'm reading it wrong.
No, that's what that's right.
Right, but remember, the police, when they wrote the PCA, have a plethora of other video. I'm speculating, but I would suspect they have a lot of other video to create that timeline.
Okay, yeah. It just confuses me how they say it makes, an initial 3 passes and then it leaves via Watlanta Drive. Instead of saying, it goes past the King Road residence, leaves via Watlanta Drive 3 different times. I guess it's the way it's worded is what
it is. It is. It's confusing.
And it's probably me just picking the words. But how I feel about the case. The video, and Gray Hughes, I love his animations. He's really good at them. No, and I think that's what's got me kind of stuck is because I'm on his old animation. So I'm still thinking of the car pulling in front of 500 Queen Apartment 52, and it's in the middle of, when you look it up on maps, it's in the middle of the apartment. It's not over by Linda Lane. So that's what's getting me. But we'll get to that part too. It's just, I think that's what it is. It's the animations. If I was just looking at one animation and like a jury will, they won't see multiple ones. Like they'll see multiple ones, but it'll be by the FBI or the cops. It won't be like multiple creators. So that's probably what's kind of throwing me off.
Right, and they have to consider each piece of evidence that's submitted. They have to go, just like we're talking right now. They're going to have to consider each piece of evidence and what evidence they're going to use. And they're all going to have to collectively agree. If they don't, then there's a problem in the end.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, that's a problem.
But it's a
I know when I was
culmination
on a
of
jury,
evidence.
though, me and this one girl, we had it going back and forth because I knew I was the person that thought he was guilty. I mean, this kid was like this teacher, like pretty much caught him. Like he stole guns from his house. It was like it was like that kind of a case. It wasn't murder or nothing, but still nonetheless, it was still a bad crime. And this one lady was like, "There's not enough evidence," but there was. But she was just like. She was just holding out. We don't know why she was. So we were trying to explain it to her. We were like red in the face. And then she was like, "Oh yeah, you guys are probably right." Like day 3.
Right. It takes some convincing.
Yeah, it was. Yeah. And that's what it did. It took us debating back and forth. And I mean, to one point we were both red in the face. I think they were going to have to like separate us for a minute just because when you're in a room with 12 people for that long, you're ready to go home and you're not getting paid.
Anybody ever see 12 Angry Men?
No, wait, I think I have.
Watch that movie.
Is that an old movie?
Oh,
It was an old movie, but they did an update in the 90s, and the update in the 90s great with George C. Scott in it, and Jack Lemmon. I mean, it's an all-star cast.
Well,
they literally
go ahead.
I say they literally filmed the whole thing like just in this room, and it's probably the most low-budget film that's probably ever been done.
I think
besides
I've seen it.
The cost for the actors. It's just it's so great.
And then in the 90s, Pauly Shore was the star of a comedic version of it called Jury
That's the
Duty.
one. That's the one I saw.
Essentially 12
That's
Angry
the one I
Men,
saw.
but with a really weird premise. So
Yeah, no, I loved Pauly Shore in the 90s.
I got a crazy story about Pauly Shore, but it's for another time.
All right, let me do this really quick. There's 442 people watching. Please, and you already know because they're already smashing the like button. Please make sure we smash the like button. If we get to 200 subscribers, I'll gift out some memberships. Let's get this out there. We need to get this stream out there and get more people into this chat. So it's free. It's literally free to push that little up button. When we get to 200, I'm going to gift out some memberships. All right, great conversations tonight. It's been a pleasure to kind of just sit back and listen to everybody talk. I want to thank everybody for being on the panel and doing this respectively. And I'm so glad that this is like a panel that we haven't all agreed on. And it's been so healthy and no one's been upset. No one's lashed out. I want to just make sure that I do this really quick. I respect every damn person on this panel. I truly enjoy them. They're all amazing creators in their own way. Tanya has an amazing YouTube channel that I love and support. And I will support her till the end of YouTube whenever I give that out. I want to thank, Detective John for coming over and hanging out on our panel, giving the opportunity to get to know him. I completely respect him in the sense, and I want to thank him for his service as well. And then Laura, my confidant, my buddy, we have this amazing friendship, and I truly respect her, and we've gone through a lot together. And she has been here and helped me build this channel. Every single fucking person on this panel tonight has helped in some way build this channel. And likewise, we've done it for everybody else. And I know Detective John's going to get going here soon. I've gone over and supported Tanya. I would never put anybody in a type of position to ever be mean or spiteful. And if anything ever happened like that, I would certainly want to squash it because all three of you you're all amazing people and you mean a lot in my life, and everybody in this chat means a lot to me. And there's some people that are in this chat tonight that I am extremely close to. And, this is not, I just want everybody to make sure this is not a fight or anything. We're having a healthy debate, and it's been great. So thank you. Thank you for all being on this panel tonight. And thanks everybody for being in this chat. I do appreciate it.
Yeah, no, I love debating. It's my favorite. It's like a curse.
It's good though.
Blessing and a curse at the same time.
Healthy. It
good.
is. It's healthy.
What's sad is young people don't debate anymore. They just keyboard tough guy and tough girl.
Yeah.
And we can debate and humanize things and use tact, You know, it's all in your tact, you know, so we didn't have to yell at each other. We just, you know, I was trying to drive a point of what we're going to be seeing. And this is absolutely 100% a great example of what the jury is going to be doing, what Tanya and I just did.
And just think, if we have these animations from creators, imagine what their animations are going to look like. Whoa.
Absolutely.
They're going to be good.
Right.
Want to recognize Judy. Judy, thanks so much. Thanks for coming and joining and supporting the channel as a YouTube member. I urge everybody that are new members or just maybe some old members. I've been doing a ton of members only content lately. You can go over on my homepage, my landing page, just scroll all the way down to the bottom and you can get access to all those videos. And I've been doing a lot lately, actually, a lot of members only, which has been great. And my members have really been enjoying that content. So thank you for being here, and I appreciate your donation. All right, let's finish this up. Let's get to where the car is going to ultimately end, and then we'll have a little bit more conversation, and we'll wrap this up. All right, great.
4 is different than the other ones. It makes me wonder if the DoorDash driver might have still been in the area. Now, the probable cause says he returns to the area at 4:04, not necessarily when his car was turning around. So I think there's cameras right around here where it shows him coming into the area at 4:04, and then he's going to turn on King Road. This one, again, there it says it right there, entering the area a 4th time at approximately 4:04 a.m.
Getting up the nerve.
So as it turns, it comes down, gets on Queen Road. It can be seen driving eastbound on King Road, stopping and turning around in front of 500 Queen Road, number 52. Now watch. You see this happening. It literally matches the probable cause document perfectly. It comes in here. It doesn't continue around like it normally does. It pulls forward. You can see the white Elantra right there. It stops and sits there for 10 seconds. And I have the real time here that's not sped up or anything. And he backs up and exits the area. And it says it can be seen driving eastbound on King Road, stopping and turning around, just like we just saw. And then it heads west. And right in this area, suspect vehicle 1 is in front of King Road residence. It appears it tries to turn around, stop, or park, but it isn't able to. Then it goes forward, and it goes to the intersection of Queen and King Road and does a 3-point turn.
This is where people are getting confused.
And then it heads back eastbound again. Now watch how amazing this is. Perfectly timed up with about how long it would take. I'm speeding up the time here a little bit because I don't know how slow the car was actually driving. It looks like it's actually moving pretty quickly. So as you can see, when it comes back here, I still have the time synced up on the bigger clock. And it's probably around, I would say, 4:08, close. I mean, it's close to 4.
Now, this is where it's going to get interesting. See where that house was we were talking about? See the position of where alleged suspect vehicle 1 is?
Right there.
What could happen if there's a camera there? Right. That's what I wanted to show everybody. That's why I think this house is now blurred out for privacy, because they probably have something. All right, let's play this.
4:08, but 4:07:50 it sits there. Now, when you're watching this, you can pause it and read some of those. I'm just quickly having the clock tick through those minutes. And then the killer leaves and then gets back in his car.
So I timed out. I added up his time. He has about 14. By Gray Hughes's video, it's about 14 minutes in the house.
Around 4:20. in the morning, takes off at a high rate of speed. And that heads north on King Road and then back onto Elantra Drive again, except this time it doesn't continue the loop. It heads south and out of the area.
So Tanya, had you seen this
So I
video
speed this
before
up quite a
tonight?
bit. And
Yeah, I did.
Okay. Because my question would be, after watching this, would you still feel the same that you did earlier?
I don't know. I don't know. I mean, it matches up with the PCA. It's just the video
What's the
coming
part
out
that
when it
bothers
came
you?
out, the way it came out, like it just like all of a sudden it's here and it's in these people's hands, and then I hear this girl didn't even want it out, and then I hear there's just so much, you know what I mean? It's just so weird that, and then also there was other cameras on this building. That's not all the cameras that were on that
Right.
one Linda Lane building.
Right.
So why did she get the, excuse my French, but the
Yeah, go
piss
ahead.
poor images? I mean, why didn't she get on the second floor where you could see out more? Because they're on each floor. There's like three or six floors there. Each
Well, we
like floor had
we
a
don't
camera.
know. I can try and answer that, and this is speculation, but we don't know that it's one DVR running that whole system. It could be 2 or 3 DVRs. I just don't know what the system is, and you know what, Tanya, your boyfriend could probably answer that better than I
Yeah.
could. But generally, you have 3 or 4 cameras on one DVR, but we don't know. I mean, there could be an explanation why maybe she only had access to it for a short time to get that info. Somebody made money on it. I can promise you that.
It's just so crazy that someone would be willing to pay or sell that camera footage, and they don't think that they would be in trouble for that. Is that not, you can't get in trouble for that? If they didn't
No.
give it to the police. What if they didn't give it to the
No.
police yet?
No, can't get in trouble for that at all.
So here's the house, and this is what I wanted to prove my point, that one that we're talking about, that overhead shot of that house in the rear of King. Why, if I look around and I move up this street, no other house is blurred out?
Could it be because he was going on Walenta Drive all those times, and that house has the only camera?
Sure.
Yeah.
But that's what I was trying to just say to everybody is
Mhm.
they said, well, anybody can blur their house for privacy, but every house that we've looked at, and I'll even drop into King, that we know.
To piggyback on what you're saying, Brian, too, I believe every house that's mentioned in the
Here, this is
incident
blurred.
report.
So there's probably a camera position here.
Mhm.
That was the house that we know of that had the camera.
Yeah, and if
There's
you
probably
notice,
a camera position here.
yeah, King isn't blurred out on there like all the way. If you notice that, I thought that they were blurring out King at first, but they're blurring out the other house.
And then you used to, about 2 or 3 months ago, maybe 3 months ago, you could go all the way up here. You can't go
Mhm.
up there anymore on Google. They won't
Oh,
allow you up there.
yeah, I knew it wouldn't let us up the other way one day when
Yeah.
I was trying that, or we were trying that, or
I
something.
believe any house that's mentioned in the incident report and supplementals surrounding this case is going to be blurred out.
Right.
Yeah. Plus the fact that the homeowner of that home was asking her neighbors to also to submit their
Right.
footage. So if
go past
they were
Lindy?
that in tune with paying attention to what was going on, they most likely had a camera.
Right. Or even if they're just a witness of some
here's
sort.
True.
Interesting
Like what if
thing.
they were letting the dog out?
Right, right. If they're a witness and they're listed and the address for them is in that incident and the murder book, then the residence is going to be blurred out. In my opinion.
These are back from 2021.
Yeah, because you can see the camera right there on that building. They got that footage. That was like the first
Right.
set of
Here it is
footage
right
that
here.
they got.
Bang.
Isn't
right
that
there.
one JLR did the video on
Yeah.
or pointed to?
Yeah, he goes, there's camera footage right here. But
He's tenacious. I'll give him that much.
well, he
man.
lives
That
out
guy-
that area. He's going to be out there a lot. you know.
Yeah, that
And
guy's.
I kind of like it in the fact of, you know, hey, everybody might say he's goofy, they don't like him, whatever, but he's actually down, boots on the ground in that area, and that's probably the closest you're going to get, unless you're going to fly out there and go out there.
He's kind of grown on me. At first I felt that way, but I think that, you know, he's
anything
he's
to
done
help,
a lot.
anything to
He's
give
done
us
a
a
lot.
vantage point. That's how I look at it.
I
Anything-
appreciate it.
He was in
Yeah.
that Albertsons like right away.
Yeah, I mean, anything to give a vantage point.
Like,
and he's probably, I mean, I don't want to sound like shitty, but he's, you know, there's a lot of activity out in that area, so he gets right on this stuff, and he's right out in that area, so, you know, anything that drops, he can be right there. So, I don't know.
There's a lot of serial killers.
Did
from
we
that
solve the
area.
world problems tonight?
I think we did.
You know, what's funny is, and I'm not touting on you too much here, buddy, but if you go to some of these other shows, they're so one-sided. You know, everybody's agreeing about the same things, you know, and it's like, you know, we disagreed, but we're still friends in the end. I mean, it's, you know, that's bottom line. You're not gonna shut one of us down for disagreeing with another, as long as it's tactful and it's, you know, with class. And that's, you know, that's all we were doing, was debating a piece of evidence. And that's what, like I keep saying it, that's what's going to happen in this case. It's going to be many pieces of evidence. And it's only going to take one juror
Yeah.
to say, nah, I'm not buying it.
Right.
And
let me
guess what?
Do this. What happened?
JLR needs a camera mount. He's dangerous as F with that in his hand. I say that all the time. I'm like, will someone get him a selfie stick for heaven's sake?
Yeah. That's great.
It really made me laugh because I'm like, we need to ship him one.
Right. That would be funny.
Julie, thank you.
He would love it probably.
Sticker. I appreciate that. I just gifted out 5 memberships. Welcome to the membership group. Whoever's going to get a membership, welcome. We appreciate you. I also want to share this. Tanya, I went through your videos the other day, and I went back to some of your oldest ones, and you had this very touching, it was almost like a trailer, or just you know, a lot of the stuff that you've gone through in your life, and I found it to be incredibly inspiring. And you've been through hell and back, and you've made it through, and you're a survivor. And you know, I really appreciate it, you know, and I really appreciate you being here. And if you haven't gone over, check out some of Tanya's go over there and hit the oldest videos, you know, go to our video section, hit oldest, and watch some of those old videos. And it's just amazing how I love seeing how creators evolve and how they come into their own. And, you know, we look at snapshots of each other through certain time. You know, I'll look at myself now, and then, you know, a year from now, I'll look and I'll go, oh my God, I was doing that back then. And
oh, I know. My first videos, I'm like, oh my Lordy. Well, and I was doing trauma, like, you know, accidents and stuff too. And I was just like, what do I do? What do I say to people? But it's actually helped me in true crime. A lot of people have found my channel, and they'll come in and I'll say something about have like metal or, you know, prosthetic eye or whatever. And they're like, oh my gosh, this happened to me. And then it's like a big therapy session, because then someone else pops in. They're like, well, I have metal here. I've met so many people that are like me, like metal in different areas. And people in my chat, they're like, my brother's blind, or my cousin's blind, or, you know, Papa Roger, he's in the chat sometimes. He comes around. His name's Elliot, but he's blind. So that's why it says sent from my iPad a lot on his thing, because so he came in my chat tonight and he said something, and I was like, hey Elliot, and no one got it. I don't think no one knows him by his name, but I was like, I remember you because you told me you were blind, and I'm blind. Before his name changed, he changed his name. And I think he just did that to be weird, be crazy, you know, be kind of crazy.
Got it.
Well, I have some metal in me, and when I go through the airport and they get around my buttocks, I tell them to be careful because it's buns of steel.
But I think
they never stop me in the airport. People ask me all the time. They're like, how do you travel? And I'm like, I go right in. I'm like, they don't even look at me like they must see it a lot. Because I mean, I have it in my face, arm, legs, foot, everywhere but my buttocks.
You look like the Terminator under your skin.
I am. I used to say I'm the bionic woman.
Yeah. Like what is it? Wolverine, the unbreakable steel.
Yeah.
Is the
Can't
unbreakable
break me.
steel. That's great.
Got the titanium.
Yeah, titanium. Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
Well, go ahead. Who was gonna say?
I just wanted to say, Tanya, I was watching that video too, and I'm just so happy for you and amazed at your progress, and like wow, you're such a fighter and a survivor. And
thank you. I wish I would have had videos to show people more of the progress, but I think my family was afraid to take videos.
Yeah. I couldn't believe the surgeries that you went through, and like you showed that, and that takes a lot of guts to do that. And I was like, wow, wow, I couldn't
people
even imagine.
need to know your story. Here you are, like doing all this, like.
Because you got to see my legs too. I forgot in that video you saw all the stitches and the 97 staples. Yeah, and I was super small then. I was only 106 pounds. I'm 140 now, so I was really small. But my friends said that I was, when they saw me, they were like, you look like you were 200 pounds. Like at first, before I went where I was at, where I took the pictures, the swelling went down. But the nurse, me and him became good friends because he was just funny. He was just hilarious. They were great. The hospital was great, and I appreciate your kind words. It's so nice. Thank you, guys.
Yeah, of course.
Did they induce coma for you?
They actually didn't. I was like from a scale to 0 to 15, like 0 being like you're dead, 15 meaning you're fully awake. I was fully awake and functioning, but I don't remember half of it. Like I don't remember like the first week in the hospital.
So but
after that, I was fine. Yeah. Oh, I had concussions. Yeah. I got beat by like that tree pretty good.
Well, you bounced back pretty good because I didn't even notice anything until you pointed it out. So
yeah, it was a long
recovery.
Lots
of surgeons did a wonderful job.
Yeah, they did. They do a good job. Lots of surgeries.
All right, people, we've hit the 2-hour mark. We held about 400 people all night. That's pretty fucking amazing.
Yeah.
If I can get just the other 200 to hit that like button on the way out, that would be even better. Smash that like button before you guys head out of here. Super duper great panel this evening. Great discussion. I think we still have a lot more to get through in this case, as every day just seems like there's something new, isn't there? There's something new. So I want to thank my guests this evening for jumping on this open panel this evening, Saturday Night Live here on the LTL podcast. Really great. Tanya, thank you so much. Laura, always. And DJ, Detective John. I've dropped their links for their channels in their chat. In the chat, please, if it's the first time over here, go over and subscribe to their channels. I know DJ will be up and running hopefully next month. Laura, anything you want to plug, your Twitter or anything like that? Or
I'm good. I'm good. You can find me on Twitter. I believe it's Agent Chase. Oh, I'll have to do that another time. I forget what my Twitter is. I am on Twitter.
That sounds like me.
Not a problem. All right, folks, we're going to get out of here. I'm waving for everybody. Everybody have a great night. I may or may not stream tomorrow night. If I do stream, it's probably going to be the Grant Amato trial. Day 1, you guys can come over and hang out if you'd like to. If not, I might take tomorrow night off and be back sometime this week. All right, everybody be safe, be kind, and we'll see you all next time. Bye.